Okay, here we go.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eva Vanags, and I work in human resources. This morning, I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Steve Johnston. He began his career at the University of Guelph, where during the summer he worked at Perrier Canada as a summer sales representative, and once he graduated, he joined them full-time as a sales representative. On a personal note, Mr. Johnston, he resides in Mississauga with his wife Anna and two sons Matthew and Andrew. He is very active in the local community and volunteers coaching hockey. In addition to playing hockey, he runs, golfs, and started to practice hot yoga, which I know from personal experience is absolutely fantastic. Steve, he is a senior executive with over 20 years in sales, business development, and marketing expertise with some of the leading North American companies such as Nestle Canada, Cadbury Chocolate Canada, Molson USA, Molson Coors, and also Molson USA and Grandin Toy. In 2011, he left Grandin Toy, and like most of us, he found himself in transition. So after several months of sending out resumes to recruiters, he realized that wasn't working and that things were very different over the past 5 years. In May of 2012, he made a very smart decision by joining HAPPEN, and probably, I'm gathering, changed his life, and devoted a lot of his time to understanding what transition is all about. So today, he will share his journey and tell us all about how he landed his current position as Vice President and sharing some career principles with us. Steve, from what I've heard, you are a very giving gentleman who has added value to so many people's lives. Welcome back, and we look forward to hearing your journey.
Thank you, sir. So nervous about the fight?
They're scared to death.
You don't look scared?
They ain't supposed to.
Then you don't have to do it.
Yeah, well, I think I do.
You know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
Well, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
I mean, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself. And this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through this, okay? This is only going to end up bad for you, and it's going to end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
It's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a jerk, and then I'm going to be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this. Well, you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits. And not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always going to love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't going to have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Anybody seen that clip before, or that movie before, Rocky Balboa? The great part of being able to speak to you is I get to choose what I talk about, and I get to choose what slides and presentations I want. Where do I go here, Jim? I'm not used to this Mac's high-tech stuff here. Good morning. It's great to be back here again. And that introduction was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen anybody introduce anyone without any notes before. Either you have an amazing memory or you're quite talented, and it's probably a bit of both. Transition, in my perspective, I'm going to spend the next hour walking you through what I went through when I left Grand Toy at the end of 2011. And it's from one person's opinion, and my goal when I started here back on May 6th, it'll be a year next week, and I couldn't come next week and I wanted to. It's that my mom has decided to take my older and my younger brother back to where she was born in Holland for 10 days. So we leave Friday night, and I've never been there before, but she's going to take us to where she was born and raised, and we're looking forward to that. But as Rocky says in the video, in my perspective, transition for me was very, very difficult. Much more difficult than I ever thought it was going to be. Never been through transition before in my life. And he talked about it. He said, you know, the world is not all sunshine and rainbows, right? It's very mean and a nasty place. And I think we can find that out as we go through transition and go through life. There's a lot of people that look through things glass half full. There's a lot of people that look through things glass half empty. But no one's going to hit as hard as life. And I looked at, when I watched this video, when I went through transition, I felt that way. I felt, wow, you know, here's Rocky Balboa, you know, back to the first movie, you know, he's a nobody, no one had any belief into him, you know, and he kept taking these hits, both in the ring and both in life, but he found a way to get through it. And I honestly think transition is a big part of what Rocky Balboa, you know, people would stick fingers in him, said he was a loser, said he was nobody, but he found a will to do that. And if you look at the sequel of his movies, you know, he went through a lot. Not only from training for the fights, but he went through losing all of his money and challenges with his wife and his brother-in-law and his manager dying. But he always found a way to get through it. So the quote that I love the most, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Whether you're going on a job interview and you're down to the short list and you didn't get it, that's a hit. That takes a blow on you, right? Whether you're sending a resume out to someone, you haven't got a reply back to somebody, right? That's a hit. And that sometimes can take away from your personal view of what you think of yourself. Well, I'm not good anymore. I don't think I can do what I've done before. No one wants me anymore. And I look at transition like a death. I've lost both my in-laws over the last 4 or 5 years, and you go through different emotions and when you go through death of losing someone close to you. And for me in transition, I went through a lot of emotions as well. I remember the first time I came home when I was let go from Grand Toy, I bawled my eyes out. I was so emotional, and I didn't know why. But I allowed myself to just go through the process of cleansing and saying there's got to be a reason why I feel upset. And it's probably because I wasn't wanted. We don't want you. And you know, I can honestly say that. There was a point of time in probably 3 or 4 months, I really didn't know if I wanted to be there. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. We don't want you, Steve. Here's your severance package. Thank you very much. Wow. You talk about a hit. That was a blow. That was a knockout punch to me. And very emotional for me because I've never gone through that before. And the last one here, I think to me is the most important part. You got to start believing in yourself. Every single person in this room had a role, did something. Whether you were in finance and sales and operations, you added value to a company that you worked for. Whether you were let go because of a downsizing, whether you were let go because the company changed its strategy, whether you let go because it was a personal issue, whether you let go because I didn't think you'd do the job, you all had something that you did at an organization. And I challenge you to make sure that you remember what it is that you did at that company that you did really well. Because you worked for some period of time. It's not like you're 16 years old, like my sons are going to start working this year for the first time. You worked for a long period of time. What is it that you did and the value that you provided to the company that you worked for? And remembering those positive things is going to bring a hell of a lot more energy to you than remembering the time that you get let go when HR sat down and gave you your package, right? And I've been there. I've lived. I sat at that table a year ago, next Tuesday. And I sat there and I go, I have absolutely no idea what to do. I led a $700 million B2B sales company, 800 employees, through a major transition, major office products transition, fundamentally different business. Wow, learned a ton. One of the best roles that I've ever done. Stressful, 100%. Challenging, 100%. Taxing on your, absolutely. But if I step back from that, I am so glad that I did that because I learned so much about what to do, and I also learned about what not to do. But one thing I didn't do, and I will do this for the rest of my career, is network. And that's what I want to share with you with respect to the journey that I went on. Okay? So, here's me, Tuesday, May 8th, last year. I wasn't there, but that's what I used to look like. That was my family vacation. My wife says, wow, this is a real fun vacation, Steve. What do you think I'm doing there? Come on, you guys have been on vacation before with your BlackBerry beside you, and, right? Just got off a conference call. Gotta get in another one, right? I'm on vacation. There's no vacations anymore. It's a sad world, right? North America's crazy. You're always on call, 7 in the morning till 10 at night. Do you have flexibility? Sure you do, right? That was the way, that was me. I sat here. But I knew I had to take a long-term view. I knew I had to take a long-term approach, and it needed to be comprehensive, and it needed to be about me, it needed to be about my family. My wife and my 2 boys are going to be joining us in 3 minutes. They're coming here to watch their dad speak. My oldest son, if he's not here, says, Dad, I'm really nervous speaking in front of groups. I said, I want you to come and watch me, because when I was your age, Matthew, I was exactly the same way. And about my family, about my friends, and about my career. But I didn't know what I need. I didn't know what to do. I thought, I'll be fine. Jim, I'm going to take some time off. I got recruiters. Don't worry, I'm good. You, on the other hand, you got a lot of things, but me, don't worry. I worked at Molson, Grand & Toy, Nestle's. And I'll have a lot of jobs lined up. I'll pick the one I want. It wasn't the case, right? You guys find it very different. So let me share with you some of the key learnings and insights through my transition that I went through. And these are in no particular order, and I'd be happy to answer any questions as I go through this if you'd like some clarity. The first thing I'll tell you is get comfortable about being uncomfortable. Get comfortable about being uncomfortable. When you've never gone through a transition and you've never networked, networking ends in an ing. What does ing usually say? It's a skill. I didn't have a networking skill, right? I didn't know how to network. I was too busy working, right? But get comfortable about being uncomfortable. It was, for me, it was very uncomfortable. Steve, what happened at Grand & Toy? Well, I didn't want to be there. It was my time. Just wasn't the right fit, right? I got fired. You know, the ironic thing is, the boss that laid me off, guess who he calls? Me. I've met him twice. I met him a month ago for a coffee. Guess what he's finding? It's hard. You'll be out 10 months. He reached out to me. I was like, yep. I was like, wow. My ex-boss who laid me off called me up. Said, hey, Steve, how are you? And I'm smiling going, good, how are you? Get together for a coffee? What do you think went through my mind? So, me, the volunteer, I coach hockey. For those of you who know anything about hockey, my youngest team went to the OHF, the Ontario Hockey Finals, Pee Wee A in New Lisker 2 weeks ago. Unbelievable. You talk about climbing a mountain and being amazing. So what did I do? Sure, I'll meet you for a coffee. How are you? How's it going? It's tough out there, isn't it? Then he calls me again. How you doing? Good. Have another coffee with him. How's it going? He goes, holy jeez, this is difficult. Really? Starts seeing me posting on LinkedIn, starts seeing me speaking engagements, starts me seeing connecting. He goes, wow. Starts asking me for help. The guy that laid me off asking me for help. So what do I do? As the better person, what do I do? Give him a second chance. Be paid. Be paid. But I go back to this, it's very uncomfortable. And for me, it was extremely, extremely uncomfortable because I've never gone through it before. And when I sat here on May 8th, and I said to Jim, and I'll never forget it, we were in the other room, and I don't know if it was that meeting or the meeting after, I said to Jim, when I land my role, Jim, I want to come back and I want to help. I want to help those people that have been through transition. Because for me personally, I knew I had to find a job, but I wanted to spend the time understanding and mastering the art of transition. And I went to every single HAPPEN meeting in Mississauga and Burlington. I read every single book that any presenter, and it was almost like I went on a crash course, like a university crash course for 3 months to try to understand. If a job came up, I would look at it, but it wasn't about finding a job, it was understanding transition. I think a big part for me was, I know I'm going to be going through it in 3 years. We're all going to go through transition again in 3-4 years. When you land your next job, plan in 3 years to go through it again. Because you will. We're in a fundamental different environment right now. Way different, especially with the recession in 2008. So think to yourself, when you're looking for your new job, which is what you're doing, plan in the next 3 years you're going to go through it again. So when you land, spend the time to continue to network. I spend an hour every morning on social media. I get 1 to 2 calls from recruiters every week, and I have 2 to 4 coffees every single week with people. Some people that are here and some people. I devote my time to helping others because I know if I help others, I know some point when I need that help, it's going to pay back for me. That is the biggest thing. But get comfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And those that think it isn't, you're lying to yourself, or you're a master at it. Most people say, I'll be fine. You're not fine. It's uncomfortable. Okay? Get a coach. I added this one in from the last time I did a presentation because I fundamentally believe people that I've met with over the last 6 months need a coach. Not a friend, not someone that can say, don't worry, it'll be okay. Someone that can kick you in the ass. Who are the best bosses and coaches that you've ever had? Andrew, my youngest son, who's your best coach? Why? The best coaches and the best bosses are the ones that you respect. They help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. They're not your friends. And I find so many people, and I'll talk about Paul, and when I met Paul through my presentation as well, people don't know what to do. But they think they can do it on their own. And with all due respect, the people are like, you can't. I couldn't do it. People say, you could do it, Steve. I know I couldn't do it. I didn't know what to do. I needed someone to kick me in the butt. Change your LinkedIn profile. It looks like garbage. What's your plan this week? How many calls you're making? Think personal trainers, people that have joined the gym and gone back to get into shape, right? People don't want a personal trainer because they're going to tell them what they need to do. But they'll say, I'll do it, I'll be fine, I'm okay, right? But make the investment in yourself, right? Make the investment in yourself to be better, whether it's getting back into shape, but this is about getting and finding your next job. And I realize it's difficult. We don't have all the money in the world, and Steve, you don't understand. You will come up with every single excuse why I don't need a coach. You will, because that's how your mind is wired. You'll start defending things versus embracing them and understanding them and developing your plan. But get someone you respect. Not you like, someone you respect. And I look at some of the bosses that I've had in the past, haven't been my friends, but they're the ones that got me to where I am today. And I look back in 10 years, I go, remember that boss that I had at Nestle's? I go, wow, now I know why he was being such a you-know-what. He was trying to make me better, and he did make me better. Okay? It's okay to go to Pity City, but you got to get out. And for me, when I came home from my time that I left Grand Toy, I was in Pity City, probably for a week or two. Right? It's okay to go there. It's okay to be humble. It's okay to go through it. It's like a death and you got to go through that emotional cleansing. But you got to get out. You can't stay there. And I find too many people stay there. They stay there, oh, woe is me, it's tough. I was at my HAPPEN meeting, there's no jobs on the board. Yeah, me too. You just become, misery loves company. But I'm not saying you don't have to go there, get upset. If you're gonna lose, oh my God, when am I gonna get there? But then get out of it and then start working on the things that you need to do. And surround yourself with people that you would want to work with. And that's the great thing about networking. You meet some great people and you meet some great people. But that's the whole purpose of networking, is to understand, to network and meet a whole bunch of people. So go there. Don't challenge yourself. Don't fight your emotions. You know, some of us are more emotional than others. It's okay, in my opinion. Again, this is what I went through. I'm not suggesting that this is for everybody, but for me, it worked. Number 4, a positive mindset is critical. And again, these are in no particular order, right? Would you hire yourself? So in the next month or two, when you're going to meet with people and you present yourself, would you hire yourself? If you look in the mirror and do your 30, 60-second speech, would you hire that person? Over the last 30 or 60 days, if you ask yourself, what are the things that you've been doing in order to, well, nothing, I've taken 6 months off or 3 months off, I haven't done anything. Would you hire the person that hasn't done anything when they've been in transition? Or would you hire the person that was networking, that was doing speaking engagement, that was volunteering their time, that was learning new skills? And by doing those, you will have a positive mindset on life. If you sit back and just sit behind your computer and send out resumes and go to your HAPPEN meeting, right? I did my HAPPEN meeting today. It's tough out there. I use these forums and sessions for a very fundamental different reason than I think most people do. I learned them to meet great people. I learned them for speakers, but I learned it to develop my plan and understand what the heck transition was all about. But again, everyone's different. But you gotta be positive. You have to be positive. And doing things that'll make you positive, right? We'll continue to have that. But I find too often people is that when they meet them, I meet them for the first time and they're like, how's it going? Oh, good. And I know, like, I do feel for them. But it's like running a marathon. You don't start the marathon tomorrow. You gotta start jogging. You gotta start doing 1 kilometer, then 5 kilometers, and 10 kilometers. So start to create things that are gonna create positive energy in your life. But you gotta be positive, as difficult as it is. So this is the one thing that I learned from Paul. Only one thing, Paul. No, I'm kidding. Is the future doesn't have to equal your past. So remember I said every speaker that I went to see in Burlington and Mississauga, I bought all the books. I even bought Jim's marketing letters. He did the presentation last week. Did some of those too. Everything. Some of them worked at 80%, some of them worked at 10%, some of them worked at 50%. But I absorbed everything. I said, give me that book, give me this book, give me those things. And I read Paul's book. And I remember when my youngest son was playing football in May, I would read this book. And I would, this isn't mine, this is Paul's, but I have an example of one. And I read this book and I was like, oh my gosh, holy moly, this is so different than it was. Because I got recruited for every job that I was in. And I was like, wow, your personal brand on social media, all this networking. For me, transition and networking was harder. It's harder than working. It was. And I didn't, honestly, I think I'll work 3 hours a day. I can go golfing, I'll sit in the back, right? It's harder than flipping working. It's tougher, it's more challenging. A, because you're not good at it and haven't done it before, but you realize the amount of time you need to invest in it. It's unbelievable. But the key quote that I took out of this book, and that's when I, as soon as I read it, I called Paul. I go, I gotta meet you, Paul. And I go, what is this, the future doesn't have to equal your past? What is that? He says, Steve, he says, people have transferable skills and experiences that they've done in their prior careers that they can bring over to a new organization or a new company. So you just don't have to go selling pens in one company and then go to another company in pens. So think about the things, the skills that you've developed, the value that you brought, the transferable skills that you could provide. So if an organization is looking for someone that requires these types of skills, there's ways that you can actually inject yourself in those types of conversations and help people understand what it is that you've done in the past and therefore what it is you could do to help that company. And the company that I'm part of now, which I'll talk about, was a key part of that. Steve, we need someone that can build a sales strategy. We need someone that can develop a pricing. We have no idea how to get to retail market. And I'm thinking to myself, going, wow, won't it be fun? Well, if I find anybody, I'll let you know. Then I started thinking about me personally. I coach my youngest son's hockey team. I want to spend time with my family. I had priorities. I'm going, hold on a second here, maybe these can match up. I thought I was going to take some time off, go 6 months, go back to corporate jail, which is where I was, right? Go back to the grind. And then as I took some time off and spent the time networking and understanding what transition about, the mind is a very powerful thing. It cleanses out a lot of the bad and brings a lot of the good, and it gets you to think a lot clearer than what you normally thought before. But the future doesn't have to equal your past. What you guys did before doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you need to do into the future. And Paul's book, I read it 3 times, and I highlighted it every different time with a different marker, was very, very helpful for me. It scared the you-know-what out of me. I realized I was committing career suicide by not being on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, because that was the last thing that I wanted to do after working 7 and 12 hours a day, is get home and let's go pop on LinkedIn for an hour. Are you kidding me? I wanted to throw my computer and my BlackBerry away. But I didn't realize in the time and the environment that we're in right now, I was committing career suicide, that social media was such a relevant part of job search and networking. And I'm not an expert at it. People said, you're good at it. I said, no, I'm just aware of it. I'm aware I need to do it. I don't classify myself as an expert, but I classify myself as someone saying, I'm aware I need to do social media. And I'm active, I think, quite often more than most employed people are active. And with all due respect, I'm active way more often than unemployed people are. Because here's me when LinkedIn came, and this is me when I left Grand Toy. I said, I'm going to post on LinkedIn? No way, people will know I'm unemployed. I can't post anything on LinkedIn. What am I going to post? People know you're unemployed. Tell people you're looking for a job. And post things that are relevant to what you believe in. So you'll see the things that I post on LinkedIn, on Twitter. LinkedIn I post things I believe in, world-class sales organization, building great culture, right? On Twitter I'll post personal things and I'll also post business things. And on Facebook it's all about my family and my personal things. So if you went on my LinkedIn, my Facebook, and my Twitter and didn't meet me, you should probably be able to understand a little bit about Steve Johnston is. And if you're not doing that now, you're committing career suicide. Tell people about yourself. You're going to wait till you meet them to tell them about yourself? And I found it very awkward. I commented on somebody. I go, I wonder if everyone will like my comment. Someone said to me, who cares if they like your comment? Is that what you believe in? I go, yeah, then post it. So I posted it. Great article, John. Really believe what you're saying. Then you start posting it, you start getting good at this, right? And people will say, nice comment. Oh, you feel good? Someone liked it. Does anybody read this stuff? Of course they do. And the reason I know that is because I have so many lunches with people. People say, wow, I really liked that comment on LinkedIn you posted last week. I go, you read that stuff? Right? They go, yeah, it was a great comment. Then I meet someone else, wow, I really like that article you posted. Like, you read that? I read everything you post. I'm like, really? So I started getting more confident as I was starting to post things. But it was awkward, right? What are people going to say? You either get on people's radar screens or you fly below them. And when you're in transition, you better be above the radar screen. Because if you're down here, you're competing with about thousands and thousands and thousands of people. If you're up here, you'll be on people's radar screens about things that you like, about what you value, what you've done. And keep doing it. Keep doing it, even when you find your job. This was when I first joined HAPPEN back in May, and I said to Jim, oh my God, everyone sits here on the sidelines, Everyone's sitting back here. No, I'm not going to volunteer. I'm okay. I'm just going to sit in the corner there and don't sit on the sidelines. I find way too many people in transition just said, be a cheerleader, right? Get into the game. Look at me, right? I'm speaking for the 3rd time it happened, right? I'm getting into the game. That's probably because I enjoy doing it, but don't sit on the sidelines and just sit, wait. Get involved in things. Because what's that going to show people? Wow, I met this guy the other day. He was really active. He got engaged. You're going to start building your own network for people that you don't even know, right? But please just don't sit on the side. You've got the time. It's not like you're working. You've got lots of time. But don't be don't sit there and just, be a cheerleader. Get into the game. Volunteer for things. Do things that are just unique and different. This is, I said they're not in any order. Every time I put one up, I get really excited about it. I've met more people that have absolutely no plan. Nothing. No plan. What's your plan? Well, I'm working on that, Steve. I see him a month later. What's your plan? Well, I haven't really articulated it. You know why people don't want to have a plan? Because then they have to measure themselves to get a plan. And from a sales guy, when you have targets and you measure them daily, weekly, it's maybe more, comes natural to me. But what is your plan? What's your 3-month plan? What's your plan for the month of May? What's your plan for this week? How many meetings are you going to get set up? How many tweets are you going to tweet? How many LinkedIn things? How many articles are you going to read? How many books are you going to read? Have a plan for you, whatever makes sense for you. And then at every week and every month, assess your plan. And be honest with yourself. I used to do red, yellow, green. What I felt good about, what I felt okay, and what I felt horrible. I kicked myself in the ass. And that's where it got me back to having a coach, because I think if you have a plan and you measure yourself against that plan, it's better for someone to actually give you the feedback on the things that you said you were going to do that you didn't do. But having a plan is going to do one of the biggest things. It's going to show people that you meet with about you. They're going to say, so I have a plan. They're like, you know what? I have a plan. I have targets every week. They're going to go, well, tell me more about yourself again. So what it is that you do? Or do you meet with someone and go, how you doing? Good. Good. What's your plan? Oh, no, I'm networking. I'm meeting a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people. Stuff's coming, though. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's going to be there. Or would you rather meet with someone that has a clear plan of exactly what it is they want to do? You're going to be a reflection to every single person that you network meet if you have a clear plan on exactly what it is you want to do. And don't kid yourself. Right? You're going to send a message, wow, I met with this guy the other day. Wow, you know, because what's going to happen when you network with people, they're going to meet new people and say, you know, go talk to Fred. I met with Fred. He's in IT, I think, but man, he was really crisp and articulate, and he may be someone that you guys may want to look for. Or would you recommend someone that didn't have a plan, that was kind of just like, yeah, whatever? You wouldn't recommend someone, would you? You'd recommend someone that you thought was very strong at what they did. So not only for yourself, of getting yourself back into working, but also the image it's going to portray to everybody else that you meet. Okay? Sell yourself to yourself, right? Would you hire yourself? Right? Toot your own horn. Right? You've done great things in your career before. Tell people that. There's a difference between bragging and also tooting your own horn. Right? And it's a way to interject those conversations.